Hello, beautifuls. Hello, especially to all the men that are watching this. This is going to be a very special live stream video just for men around Tantra and really around doing Tantra workshops, doing Tantra retreats and doing Tantra sessions and the value and the benefits that men actually get from doing this. And of course, I've decided to bring on my workshop and retreat co-facilitator, Kleinerman, who's very experienced in the tantric arts and sacred sexuality. So let's see if I can add him on here. Let's add him on. Yeah, here he comes. So we really wanted to do a live stream. Hey!
Hi!
It's beautiful to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you.
So, yeah, I was just saying to everyone that we really wanted to do a special live stream to those, for the men who are curious about Tantra, maybe have experienced a little bit of Tantra or maybe new to Tantra, and what really is the benefit and the value for them to come and do a Tantra workshop, to come and do a Tantra retreat, as we're running one in Bali in January, which is open for both men and women. So, Aaron, I can really hear the wind there. Is there somewhere that you could move? It's not as windy. Ooh, it's super windy in Perth.
Is that better?
That's amazing. That's like a whole new, like you're in a whole new location.
Amazing. Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. So, and obviously I can only speak from my experience with my clients and the work we've done. We've been running the Art of Loving Men workshops for women, but inviting men in on the second day, where the men have actually had profound experiences and healing, and we've got some beautiful testimonials from the men, and so I can speak from that, but you can speak from experience as a man.
For sure.
And I'd love to hear about that.
The place of any of this work for men, I feel like men are generally a bit afraid of what they don't know, and I know that quite well as being a man. There's a sense of like, oh, are they going to do weird things sexually, or what's going to happen there? And there's all this stuff that comes up. And you know, for any men tuning in, like the biggest space you can really feel into is in that intuitive knowing inside. Like so many times I'll have men that have come to workshops and retreats, and it's like there was the voice saying, oh, I need to worry and I don't know what's going to happen. But the voice that's just guiding, the voice that knows that you're supposed to be there, that's the voice that I really kind of ask people to tune into more, because there's a lot of a voice of saying the worry and the doubt and what's going to happen, what's this all about. But really, you know, and when it comes to kind of more deep descent work and going into kind of tantric work, which is working a bit more of sexuality, there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of energy that's kind of stirred up inside of our body. So for men that are kind of wanting to have curiosity, for one, know that you're safe. Know that all of you can completely come here. Like that more than anything. And it's like there's nothing that any one of us will ever ask you to do that you're required to do. It's like the men are afraid, oh, they're going to make me do weird things. It's like, no, that's part of what we go over more than anything, is that boundaries and consent and knowing that we're sovereign, powerful beings, and we can always make the choices that we need. And taking what I've learned inside of tantric immersions, inside of all this work, and then applying it into my life with family, with friends, it's made me as a being much more whole and without a separation between different worlds. Like men, especially for so long in my own journey, I had my coaching life and I had my sex life. And it was like very separate. The energies are very separate. And not that they're all completely intertwined now, but in many ways, the energy that I began to surface and I began to utilize in diving deeper into tantric practices, I could then use in my sex life, I can also use in my business world. That's the biggest kind of merging that happens. And it's like when men can actually begin to understand that their sexual power, like the seeds that are created from within them, can be used for their business, for their entrepreneurial adventures, all this stuff. This is what we go into. It's not just like wild sexually dynamic craziness. I mean, there can be some fun things that we get into, but it's about how can you as a man show up more fully in a state of love for all of the different areas of your life. And that's what we dive into as a group, as a community, but really as in your own individual journey. And for myself, there were a lot of things that were in the way for allowing deep love to flow from within me, and not just love to another woman on the outside. This was love towards myself. The self-love journey was the biggest space for me as a man, and finding deeper self-love for myself allowed me to love more effectively women on the outside. And I love to love women on the outside. All men do. It's just part of our, not all men, but heterosexual men. And it's like this retreat, and these retreats are an opportunity to love yourself more, so that when you're then interacting and you're having a chance to connect with someone on the outside, you're beginning to feel the places that are in congruency to your heart and not what your mind thinks you need to do to love somebody.
Awesome. And I'm really curious to know is, because there might be people watching this that are like, I don't quite understand what Tantra means and what Tantra is. So in your words, speaking to the men, how would you explain Tantra to them, and what Tantra is for you, and what the benefits do you think that men doing this would get out of that?
It's a great question, and I find my definitions for Tantra change probably all the time. But
Yeah.
it's about like a deep love of existence. It's about a deep love of this like human experience, and to love beyond the state of loving in infatuation, but loving in the state of loving nature, loving earth, loving ourselves, loving each other. And what I find with Tantra, it's about, I can effectively get all of the centers of my body in a deeper state of union inside, between my base and kind of my lower halves to my belly, and then up to my heart, and then up to my mind. And the more that all four of those centers are speaking, then my capacity of sharing love to myself and to others gets more expanded. And so I think one of the, for men that aren't really aware of this, it's like, feel into your own heart. What are the things that you love the most? Maybe it's, going to sporting events. Maybe it's spending time with your family. Maybe it's spending time with your beloved. And then think about the challenges and the things that get in the way of allowing you to express that love more. Maybe that's anxiety with work, or stress, or, fear of not being enough. All of these different things as a man that get in the way from allowing a deeper sense of fulfillment into the world. Because we as men, we like to be in service. We like to help and to support not just women, but other brothers as well. And I found in my own journey in Tantra is that it's helped me to clear away more of the things, more of the stuff that was getting in the way of allowing a deeper level of love to express in the world. And for me as a man, like, I like to go to bed at night and say, have I allowed what the love in my heart to be shared most congruently in the world? Like, have I allowed that to really express to the people that are important in the life? Because I know a lot of guys, like, for myself in my own journey, I spent years working out at sea as a mariner. And, I know a lot of guys that even here in Australia, where we're both at right now, there's guys working out in the mines, and they're away from family, and they're always kind of making money to support their loved ones. And that's beautiful. And I have such appreciation. And so part of this tantric journey is that it clears away some of the emotional paradigms, some of the emotional baggage that gets in the way from letting that love be more fully expressed. Because I remember speaking to a lot of guys when I'd be out at sea, and they'd go back and they'd spend time with their family, and then within a couple days or a week, they'd be back in arguments. They'd be back fighting and bickering with their wife or their kids, and all that is that the emotions inside didn't have a full level of expression within themselves, and so it was being forced to the outside. And so this journey of self-love, this tantric journey of self-love, is so that we as men can fall back in love with our own bodies, with our own beings, with our own like individual selves, so that we have that much more love to give into the world, and to the people that matter. And like, that's what I know as a man I want to do. I want to matter. I want to matter in terms of how I'm showing up. And if I feel like I'm not mattering, then I get, I get down on myself, and I like to matter. I like to have a purpose.
Yeah, awesome. And I really love hearing it from your point of view, and I'd really love to speak to, I feel like there's two main reasons that clients have come to see me for Tantra sessions. And the first reason is just having a lack of feminine energy, a lack of touch, a lack of intimacy in their lives. Like, they don't have the touch and intimacy that they're having. Either maybe they're single, or maybe they're with a partner that is not open to being as intimate as they would like them to be. And so they're longing for this. I feel like they're longing for this feminine energy that they are wanting to feel in women, but ultimately is longing to be felt within themselves. And this will that. Yeah. So that's I provide that in the space for men, is to explore giving and receiving intimate touch through different tantric practices and different tantra sessions. And then the other main thing is that they're really struggling with some kind of issue, whether it is to do with sexual performance, whether it is to do with not feeling like they're good enough, or they do have sexual issues, and maybe they're not feeling like a man, they're not feeling very sexually confident, they're struggling in their relationships with women, they've got real kind of like issues that they really want to work on. Even if it is learning to how to last longer and have more stamina and just be the best lover that they can be. And I see commonly, one of the most common things that I see around this is that men feel really emasculated. Don't feel like men anymore, and they've lost their purpose or their way, or not sure, and are so busy working on them, like working and try to like show up in their purpose, but also longing for that depth and that intimacy, and craving all that different feminine energy and the different flavors of the feminine. And and they're having relationships with a woman that can be quite masculine, and they're longing for more feminine energy from women. And so that's the common things that I work with personally with men. And what I love is when we bring this into a workshop space and in a retreat space, is that getting, and in my experience, what I've loved about doing workshops is experiencing with every single person there a different healing, a different part of myself, a different learning, a different exploration, like a different flavor to explore. And that person brings up something different for me, and then the other person I might explore a practice with brings up something else for me. Maybe I've got resistance to someone, then I'm like, oh, I really don't want to work with that person. And I'm like, okay, so there's gold there.
Yeah, and I love you speak into that, because that's really the beauty of any of these containers and retreats. It's basically a deep dive container where everything that's unprocessed inside gets shown into individuals on the outside. So the triggering points, the places of uncomfortability, the places of what's alive inside that is unloved, gets showed into the people around, and it forces an individual to really deeply confront the places that there hasn't been a level of gratitude for. I mean, I can think of countless workshops and retreats, both that I've held as well as I've been a part of, where it's like the exact formula for the deepest levels of growth transformation and evolution show up in all of the other beings there. And it's like I couldn't have manifested even more perfectly if I had tried. And that's the magic of this. And it's like, there's another piece you're speaking of is like, for me as a man, there, even though I've always been a fairly confident, courageous individual, there still was some separation, you know, between my spirituality and my sexuality. And it was in going deeper into my sexuality that I started to bridge that gap, and I found myself being more courageous on the inside, meaning that I often was trying to show the outside world that I was being courageous, but inside I actually felt really empty. And going in and doing more of this deeper, like, sexual work and moving all of the different layers of the body, I began to be more courageous for myself and more willing to the self. So, you know, 1,000,001 people, especially men listening to this, your wife or your sister or someone in your life can say, wow, this would really help you. But until you know inside yourself that this is the direction you want to go. I mean, just yesterday I was working in Melbourne. There's a big gathering of 140 men, and men first time coming into all of these work. And, like, you know, you could just see these light bulbs. I did a practice with about, I think it was 40 or so men that came into my workshop. And you could just see inside of this, like, light bulbs are just going off moment by moment. And these are guys that had never done any of this work. Guys came up after where they were like, many guys come up and said, wow, that was the most powerful thing I've ever done in my life. And it was just because I think what I gave them permission for was the full expression of every part of them. Like the wild, the chaotic, the free, everything in between. Because men in general don't necessarily have a space in their life where they can bring all parts of them. They feel like they have to hold certain parameters and stability and characters, and I have to show up like this and wear this hat. And it's exhausting. It's fucking exhausting as a man, because it's like, I don't want to do that anymore. And I remember thinking that for so long in my own life. So if you're feeling any of that, brothers, if that's calling to you, like, come play, come and explore in a space where there's other women as well. Like, I do these containers with only men, which is really powerful. But with this particular one in January, like, this is with women too. So you get to go in deep into yourself, which you do with other men, but also witnessing, you know, other really beautiful, courageous women who are doing the same space.
If, let's say, if a man has some mother issues, for example, we'll be able to use the woman in the space to help heal that going on, and to heal that, whatever's going on with that, because a lot of men's sexuality can be linked to issues, can be linked to mother stuff as well, which is super interesting. And so also, and vice versa as well, with stuff with women coming in, there's stuff around men is going to come up, and we create these really safe, contained spaces that allows the healing to occur with that. And when we've been doing the Art of Loving Men workshops and we bring the men in, it is so incredibly beautiful to witness the amount of love and healing that is in that room between men and women when they get to see each other without agenda in the space. Because usually what I find is that most commonly is when it comes to men relating with women, there tends to be an agenda for sex, and when it comes to women relating with men, there tends to be agenda for relationship. And this is very generalized. It's not always 100% the case, but most commonly. And so it's like, what happens when you can be in these spaces and take agenda out, and what connection can be created, what healing can happen, how can we see each other without agenda? And that's really beautiful. And I wanted to share with you some of the testimonials that we've received from men who have come to this workshop and have actually received so much healing from it. And they start to relate to women differently. They start to see women differently. They feel more empowered as a man. They feel more purposeful as a man. They feel like a man again. They feel really confident. And they feel really appreciated. So that's some of the stuff that's been shared. They are able to love women more fully by doing this work. One man said he felt safe, he felt loved, he felt honored, he felt joyful, he felt appreciated. He said that was just a few things, and the list could go on. Another man said it was the first time he had not ever feared the feminine. And he can't remember not feeling fear around women, and it's the first time he felt like that he wasn't afraid of the feminine, which is really beautiful. I had another say that it was just such an incredible experience to witness so many open hearts. Another man said that this is the path to healing our deepest wounds. And I had some more on here. Many men have said that they just start relating to women quite differently. Yeah, one man said it makes him feel all the work he's done, and this is what I love this piece especially, is like and I've had quite a lot of men say this that do work with me one-on-one, that say that it makes all the work that they've done feel celebrated and worth it, and it makes them want to keep going at it, which I think is just so incredible, because men are longing to be appreciated, and that's a big chunk of the work that we bring in, is really honoring and appreciating men. And particularly at the Bali retreat, we're going to focus on doing it for both men and women, where they get to be seen and received and acknowledged and appreciated, and really seen for who they really are by each other. And it's so beautiful. So another man said that he'd never heard anyone speaking about the things that he'd struggled with his whole life, and it allows him to work through a lot of the pain he's been through with women. Another man said that he's only ever cries 2 to 3 times a year, and he was crying for about 30 to 40 minutes, and it was such a powerful healing for him. Another man said that it really allowed him to receive from his partner. A lot of men struggle to receive, and that it brought them closer together, and it helped them balance their masculine and feminine polarities. Yeah, so that's just a few things, some of the feedback. And so what I would love to do is to put a offer out there to invite men to come to our Bali Tantra retreat, which is in January 15th to 22nd, 2019. And so if you're feeling called to do any of this work, please apply, okay? Fill out the application form. You can go to tinyurl.com/apply-Bali. And the link will also be here as well, and on the page in the video. And so go to the form, fill it out, and then Aaron will set up a time to have a chat with you, okay? So particularly for men, it's helpful to speak to another man who's been there and been through it and been where you're at, and can talk to you about what is it that he thinks that you would be valuable for you, and to really see if this is a fit. We also do applications because we want to make sure that you're a fit. We want to make sure that everyone who is coming is open and ready for this. And so a lot of the men that come perhaps have done some work on themselves, and maybe something that they're curious about, and they want to try something new, and they feel open to it. A lot of my clients come to me from the space of like, I've heard about this and I want to know more, and I'm open and I'm curious to exploring this. And so coming into retreat space is a beautiful, immersive way to do that. And I can pretty much promise you that you will not come out the same person. You will not come out feeling like the same man. I also want to add here that if you are in a relationship, that we also invite couples, okay? So it's open for couples and singles, men and women. So if it's something you might want to do with a partner, it's going to be extremely beautiful to do as a partner. And I think in a partnership, we really deeply connect and open up and be vulnerable with each other in these beautiful spaces. And this work is really powerful for that kind of conscious relating. I mean, healing anything that might be going on in your relationship as well, or deepening into your sexuality with each other, heightening your chemistry, getting back and getting reconnected, and going deeper into what you already have. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to mention. And obviously there's just a beautiful exploration of conscious intimacy. So really exploring like different types of touch and connection. And we're going to be doing some beautiful rituals. Yeah, it's going to be deeply healing. And I feel like what happens is you go through initiation as a man. It's like a rite of passage during This retreat will initiate you as a man sexually, and you'll feel walk out feeling so empowered in your sexuality, feeling like a confident sexual man. And yeah, that's really our intention, is for the men that come along. It's to heal anything that they have around their relationships with women, any fear that may be there, so they can open their hearts and give and receive love more fully, and be the man they want to be in the world. Yeah, I wish every man could do this. I wish every man on the planet could experience this work. It would, wow, I feel like it would truly open them to really feeling all the love that they're worthy of, and and be the sexual being that they truly are, in a really conscious and healthy way. So yeah, so I want to leave you guys with that. And yeah, if it calls to you, if there's something I've said is like, oh, that feels exciting for me, and I'm curious about it, fill out the application form, and Aaron will have a chat to you. If you feel like you really want to chat with me about it as well, or instead of Aaron, please put that on the application form that you want to have a chat with me about that too, so I can see how I can support you with that. All right, have a beautiful day, and I hope that I get to see you on this magic journey, and hopefully see you in Bali at our Tantric immersion. There are some beautiful people coming, some beautiful women coming. I can't wait to journey with you. Bye.